I love film photography, and it's kind of been a little hobby of mine. So this was taken on a 28-hour drive through the Midwest. Some friends of mine, we decided we were going to drive to a music festival in Wisconsin, and we drove for 28 hours. And it's unreal how much nothing there is in the United States. And there's just these wide open plains. I love wide open areas of these clean blocks of shapes and light. Just that the blur of the photo is that we were driving in a car, and I kind of love that scene in passing, that some people don't often take the moment to stop and look at it, but I'm forcing you to stop and look at it. I think I've spent about 5 hours on this painting, but overall more, because I built the stretcher for it and I stretched the canvas and primed the canvas. So overall, I've spent more time on this than 5 hours, but I'd say 5 hours painting. The way that a film camera captures light and color is just so different from anything else. It's just because it's literal light it's capturing. I often use my own film photographs to reference in paintings, but when I reference it, it's always pretty loose. I don't actually like to be tied to capturing every little detail, but just like the photograph captures the essence of that split second as we pass that field in the middle of nowhere, I like to paint that way. I already feel like I'm getting too detailed. I like to keep it broad, and I like to move along pretty quickly. If I get stuck in one place, I lose the big picture, and it starts to look too, it starts to not feel right and not look right. There's a very, very delicate, it's very hard to capture. I'm always trying to keep that feeling of it being a moment that was a split second. Those are the ones that, just kind of like how a full moon is, it's kind of rare, and if you aren't paying attention you can miss it entirely. But that's what I love about it, is it happens quite often, but you don't always stop to enjoy it, and it's just one night that it's completely full. Just one night. Obviously this photograph is one that I took with a film camera, and it's one of my favorites, so sometimes I'm not content with it just staying, it's art in itself, but then sometimes I still feel led to capture it and try. So I've been trying different mediums, and recently I've been working with acrylic on raw canvas. In school, I had the opportunity to learn a little bit of woodworking, and since then, it's been like 5-6 years since then that I've just taken off on my own. And so at my house I have a whole wood shop set up. So I started doing all my own framing, and then eventually it got to the point where clients would ask me to frame other pieces for them, and then eventually I started framing other art and other artists' art, so then I decided to make it official. So now I have a separate woodworking business called Voron and Company, and that's where my custom framing falls under. These are my float frames. So this is how they work. You just set the painting in, and this is a commission I'm working on to ship to a client in I think he's in California actually. I'm not done with it yet. So I do a lot of float frames for panels and canvases, and then I also have different styles of framing, two-dimensional art. And so these are just frames that I've built. I like to use walnut and ash. This is a little drawing I did of Monument Valley. It's one of my favorite places on the whole planet. And I think I cannot get enough of it. So, still working on framing this. Obviously the glass needs to be cleaned. And then here's another little photo I took with my camera, or my, just my iPhone. My phone takes blurry photos, but sometimes I love that quality about it, and it just adds to the charm. I don't know if this one has any splines on it, but splines just reinforce the corners, and they also kind of offer some character to the frame. So I like to do contrasting splines because they really show off the joinery. So I think this is a maple spline with a walnut frame.